I didn't like the idea that I should be, up front. It's guitar hero. I had so many great vocalists here. So. Yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. I am Belgian Jasper. If this is your first time on the channel, hit subscribe right now. After spending 30 years, well, he's still there, don't worry, at Amorphis, the Finnish guitar legend Esa Holopainen has now released his solo album under the name Silver Lake. To learn all about that release, I sat down with Esa himself.
I stand on the shore, praying under the sky.
Esa, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. When we are recording this, we are a week away from the launch of the album. On one hand, this is not the first release cycle that you go through with your career. You've been doing this for 30 years plus. But at the same time, this is the first time when it's under your name. Does that mean that this release is more exciting? Is it scary in a way? How are you living up to the next few days?
And I wouldn't say it's scary, but of course, it's absolutely, it's more personal release, and it's always exciting, when you put an album out. What's the people's reaction? Because, like with this case, I basically spent almost the whole last year making this album and writing the album. So of course, the songs and everything connected to that becomes super personal. So it is absolutely exciting to see how people will like it, but it's not my hands anymore, and I can't help it.
We've heard two songs so far that have a similar feel, but are definitely different songs. Will we see a very varied album when you're trying different things with different singers? Should we look at this as a collection of songs, or is this truly a cohesive album?
I really tried to avoid having like a collection of different of different music styles with different singers. There is a huge variety between the songs. Songs are really diverse musically, but still I think there is some musical connection in the themes and everything, music themes, what's going on, and it's really nice to see. Even there is so many different vocalists, but there is some kind of connection that clicks everyone together, and it's absolutely, that doesn't sound like a mixture between different styles just got into one album.
You have done some guest performances with other bands, and you've had a few other projects outside of Amorphis over the years, but in the bigger picture, it's not something that you've done that much. You've very much been focused on Amorphis. There are some exceptions, we'll come back to that. What made the change? Was it as straightforward as with COVID? Amorphis is put on hold for a little bit and I had a lot of time, or is there more stuff?
That was pretty much how it went. Like everyone else, last year was pretty bad. All the tours got postponed or cancelled, as well as shows. So basically my calendar was totally empty, and a friend of mine who is running studio here in Helsinki, guy called Nino Lauren, he's a producer and he produced this album. He called me up and asked if I would be interested of starting to work with my solo album, because this idea has been in the back of my head for quite a years, and it's been the bar discussion between me and Nino. After a couple of beers, we start to hug and let's work together. But that's pretty much how it started. He called me up and asked if I'm ready to start to do my first solo album, and I was. And it pretty much started in the way that I checked a couple of songs what I had in my computer hardware, Stuff that I haven't used anywhere too different for any Amorphis sessions or anywhere else. So I played those songs to Nino and asked his opinion, what he thinks about it, and he really liked the songs, and that was the first scratch. And then I started to search right singers, and it was like a snowball effect. Everything started to get more clear to me where I'm going with the album.
Okay, so does that mean that because it's understandable that this would be under your name or Silver Lake by you. Obviously your name carries quite some star power in the metal world. Whether or not you consider yourself a rock star. But
no,
but it sounds like he was it sounds like he was quite proactively involved in.
He was, absolutely, and I definitely needed someone, at least one person with whom I can share opinions and ask if I'm going to right direction or not. He was the producer of the album, and for me it was great help. We did some vocal arrangements together, and obviously used his studio. So he was a great help.
Muinaisuuden mustan yössä Pohjolan ajan alussa. Aaltosi hulappaa.
As I was preparing for the interview, one thing that I kind of had playing on loop was your Spotify playlist with songs that you selected that were important to you. Like a lot of these songs, even though they were from vastly different areas, what connected most of the songs here was that there was sometimes a feeling of melancholia, but always a nostalgia feel to it. Things that we see definitely in both singles that have been released. Is that maybe a good way of describing your music?
It is, absolutely. The biggest inspiration for me, of course, making these songs how they now are on the album, are the singers.
Yeah,
and they like trying to get the best potential to my songs for them. So but the Spotify playlist, that was great fun to do, because I really dug somewhere to the bands and artists that I did listen in the old days, and songs which even today are still very relevant to me. And absolutely, it's I think if you listen to the whole album and compare it to for example, the Spotify list, it's quite good compare.
It was clear that you had fun, because I think the playlist is like 9 hours long or something like that. So it seems like it was tough to make the selection.
They asked for 100 songs. I was like, how many songs do you need? Like 10 or 20? No, you can do like 90 or 100.
All right. Awesome. Now you mentioned the singers, and you're absolutely right. When we look at, for example, Ray of Light with Einar from Leprous, his voice works so well to the music, so clear. A lot of people have been shouting out like, oh, this reminds me a lot of Aha as well, which I'm sure that Einar gets more than once. Now that you've worked with a number of different, we haven't heard the fans haven't heard all the songs yet, but when you now worked with so many different singers, do you already have, like, especially when you see how good that result is with Einar, for example, are you like, I just want to do more of that with you? Like, should we expect more?
Absolutely, another album. I will do that at some point. I don't know when, but at some point I probably start to write new songs little by little. The gang who is on this album, absolutely, I would love to work with each and every one of them. But it's also pretty much up to them and how busy they are. Hopefully soon we go back to the sort of old world, and bands start to tour and everybody going to be super busy. So it's also a matter how available people are and the vocalists are. But yeah, absolutely. And Ray of Light was one of the songs what I actually wrote before I even knew that Einar is going to sing it. And he was the only guy who I know that I thought that is capable of doing that in the way that I really want.
Yeah. Because it's interesting because with his voice and it's so how clear it is, and then also just the title, it feels like again little melancholy, but also very hopeful and very warm feeling. A little bit juxtaposed with the video that seems to bring a lot of metaphors and somebody struggling through dark places to eventually get to the light. Is that a right way of interpreting the video, or what's the story there?
It's the story for the video is pretty much that the girl there is the ghost of this mansion. Okay. And you can actually see I did a cameo roll there. You can see me for 2 seconds if you look really close. I'm passed away with my guitar. So you can see me in 2 seconds there. So, but that's pretty much the idea. The video director is a good friend, and he did Amorphis video, Among Stars, from the latest Amorphis Queen of Time album, and he's got a really good vision and eye for everything that's going on.
Another singer that I'm very excited about that is on your record is Anneke Van Giersbergen from The Gathering, and obviously a lot of different projects, including Vuur. One of the projects that you have been involved with, you've written some songs for Vuur. And Anneke can sing on the most depressing song and will still have a big smile on her face and will make everybody feel happy. So I'm sure that will be a great fit as well for your music.
Absolutely. It's, she's a beautiful artist, beautiful voice, and a true artist, and with her whole soul. And as you say, it's really, if she's alone with her guitar, that's enough, and it still sounds perfect. One great thing about her is that I think she's the pioneer who really started everything with Gathering, which is now a huge scene, female-fronted bands. Sure, they're exploring all over. So yeah, absolutely. Moving
away from the singers, but to your guitar playing, which is obviously the unifying factor in the album. On this record specifically, then with the Storm song, a lot of people have made comparisons with Mark Knopfler and Dire Straits. When I listen to the song as well, I feel like even though it's vastly different, there are at times that there's like a Brothers in Arms vibe or a Sailing to Philadelphia vibe from his solo at time. Again, is that somebody that you've always been inspired by? Because I know that your guitar playing might be somewhat different from Mark Knopfler's, but from an atmosphere, if you will, there seems to be a lot of similarities.
Absolutely, I'm a huge fan, long-time fan of Dire Straits, and Mark Knopfler is one of those guitarists who really has unique sound and really puts whole soul in the music. And it's you have a clean guitar, and what I do mainly in Storm is that I repeat a couple lines for Håkan's sound and his voice, and it's not that much playing, more than like phrasing with my guitars. Very laid back, and the lead comes at the very end of the song. Kind of arrangement I really enjoy myself, and I think also one of the greatest things making this album was that my approach playing guitar was not very typical for a guitar player, because I wanted the guitar to be a bit more laid back and not that upfront, because in my with Amorphis it's I always play from the beginning till the end and the whole album, and it's like and now that I had total freedom of control pretty much everything, I really wanted to play with the dynamics, and if I felt that the guitar or distorted guitar probably don't fit somewhere. I just didn't add them.
Yeah.
And I didn't like the idea that I should be, up front. It's guitar hero. I had so many great vocalists here, so it's I think they are the star of their songs, and according to that, I also wanted to do one instrumental song which opens the whole album, and that's the song where I can sing with my guitar.
I mean, it is interesting though, because in many cases, when a well-known guitar player of a band does a solo album, half the songs are instrumental songs, and the songs that are not instrumental songs still have extended solos, and it's really it's almost like here's my business card to show you how good I am on guitar and so on. With you've taken a completely different approach, and it's song basic. It's not just focused on one instrument, which kind of aligns with what you said earlier about I've just had ideas that maybe they weren't necessarily just solos, but they were ideas I couldn't really fit in Amorphis. And so I wanted to ask you about that, because Amorphis, first release was in 1992, I think.
Yeah, around that, yeah.
Over the years, Amorphis has evolved quite a bit. The band has allowed its members to experiment significantly with different styles, and Amorphis today is very different than Amorphis in the mid-90s. But you still then feel that there are certain bridges you can't cross within Amorphis?
I've always put all my musical needs into Amorphis, and in a way it still is. And I really didn't have any specific reason to start solo project or do any projects before, because I can always put my musical ambitions into Amorphis, and also the band gives me so much from the other guys. But now that I had a great chance to play with different musicians and with different vocalists, it really opened a lot of new doors, like for different approach to different kind of arrangements and simply in different music. So I really wanted to go there and not to even think about of writing songs in the way what I do, for example, for Amorphis.
Now, even after such a career, I think, and I know a lot of Amorphis fans agree with that. My favorite Amorphis album is your latest album, even though I've followed you guys for much longer time. That band is at a new height in the career, and that also means that is a machine that is not going to slow down anytime soon. Even over COVID, there were live releases and so on, and I can only assume that you're already working with Nuclear Blast about what are the immediate future plans for that band. You said earlier, well, I'd love to at one point do another album, another Silver Lake album. So how do you see then the immediate future of this project once the pandemic goes away? Is there going to be a chance for fans to see this music live, or is this something that will have to wait on the Amorphis machine?
Absolutely. When the next Amorphis album comes out February 22, around there, we already have pretty tight touring schedule and everything planned. So this project was for me just the first thing was just to do a great album, and I'm going to let it live its own life now, and we'll see it from there. But I've got a lot of contact from promoters who've been asking about it. Am I going to do any shows? But it's a bit tricky with getting all the singers together, the same place, same time. Might be doable on some festivals, and it is a tempting idea, which personally I would love to do like 1 or 2 shows and selected shows with all the people, like having a nice celebration, so to speak.
Yeah.
But you know, and not just Amorphis, but also when the pandemic is over and all the bands are going to tour again, I think each musician and vocalist on this project is going to be really, really busy. Yeah.
Are there any other surprises coming our way around the release cycle that we should know?
There is, on the release day, there is going to be 1 more video. And actually there's going to be a 4th video slightly after the release.
Okay.
So we really wanted to push for the visual side of this project as well, because obviously it's the live is a bit unsure. So there is 2 more videos coming up. The one that is coming up at the release day is going to be really, really important to me, and I guess for the Finnish people as well, because it's the video from the song Alkusointi, where is this Finnish actor Vesa-Matti Loiri is acting, and it's very, very, very dramatic video.
I'm slightly afraid now to watch it, but but I look forward to discovering the video when it comes out. Esa, I want to thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I wish you all the best for the next few days when you have to let go and see that life that the album starts to lead. I hope that very shortly, whether it is a special, unique show with a few of the singers under Silver Lake's name, or with Amorphis, to see you on the road and have you guys here in Canada, that would be amazing. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You are awesome for watching this interview. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.